Welcome back to the show. This is Real Talk with Brian and Dan.
I'm Brian.
And I'm Dan. Our next guest is Debbie Rosemont of Simply Placed. Debbie is a certified professional organizer and productivity consultant. She started Simply Placed in 2003 to help her clients increase productivity, maximize efficiency, and bring balance and control to their work, home lives, and much more. Simply Placed associates work with individuals and businesses to create effective organizational systems, clear clutter, successfully manage time, focus on priorities, and achieve goals. They help people work smarter, not harder, to increase the bottom line and peace of mind through consulting, hands-on organizing, and group training. Debbie's an engaging speaker, an effective consultant and trainer, and has been interviewed numerous times, including on our show, but also in other TV, print, and radio media. She's the author of the book, 6-Word Lessons to Be More Productive, and the creator of several information products. Debbie is one of the small number of certified professional organizers in Washington and was founding member of the Seattle chapter of NAPO. She's an active member of NAPO, National Association of Professional Organizers, and the WBO, or Women Business Owners. She was the proud finalist for the 2015 WBO Nellie Cashman Business Owner of the Year. Debbie, who wears many hats in her own life, as well as wife, mother, volunteer, business owner, understands that life happens. And it can be challenging to get and stay organized. However, she's seen the benefits of an organized life and wants that for clients. Her goal is to ultimately save her clients time, money, and stress, and allow them to focus on things that matter most. Debbie, we welcome you back to the show.
Thank you. Thrilled to be back.
Well, I got to tell you, there's probably a lot of people that have this beautiful layout like I do, but if you look down on my desk, it's a hot mess.
Chaos.
Looks great. Chaos. So what do you suggest? How should we kind of reset? We've got a month to go. How do we reset and make this the best month quarantine ever?
Yeah. And, for some people, it's going to be more than a month. They're going to work from home for longer, I suspect, whether full-time, part-time, whether anyone's new to this. And this has been a change from going to corporate office to home office, or you've been doing it for a while. I think there's some things that anyone can do to make sure that your office space at home or your workspace at home is working for you. So the first tip I would suggest is have a dedicated space. So, if you are working from home and you have a home office, well, that's ideal, especially if you can close a door on it and really focus in that space, and that's all that space is used for. A lot of people don't have that luxury, and they are maybe sharing a kitchen table space or a dining room table, or trying to carve out a corner of a bedroom or another multi-use area. So claim a space wherever that's going to be, and then make sure that you have in that area the things that you're going to need most often when you're working. So project files or client files, certainly your electronics that you need, your phone within arm's reach, and then some very basic office supplies. And if your office needs to move from room to room, and that certainly has happened. We had 4 people at one time over the last 2 months working and living out of our household. And so sometimes we need to move to adjust. If someone needed to make a call and needed a private space, someone might have to step out of a private space and go to a shared space. So to be able to have, even if it's just a caddy of the office basics, or something that you can fit in your hand, or a little bag to take from place to place, that can be helpful as well. So claim a space. Try to clear clutter from that space. No, we can't see anyone's desk over Zoom, but you know what's there. And we're able to focus on priorities when we have less stuff around us. That's typical of most people, although everyone has a different level of tolerance for stuff around them. And so that's not going to be, there's not a formula that says, okay, Dan, you need to clear everything off except the one.
I like that. Everyone has a certain level of tolerance. Yes. Yep. And I have a high level of tolerance.
Yes. Yes. So, and that's something to think about too, if suddenly you are sharing a workspace with somebody else, is there may need to be, and this is not marriage counseling or couples counseling, but there may need to be some negotiation. And that could be true if a student is using a space to do online learning and somebody else needs it for work. So clearing clutter, and I always say to the lowest common denominator, the person that needs the clearest space And usually that means in that workspace that you need to have some systems set up. So the reason that people have a lot of stuff around them primarily is that they worry about out of sight, out of mind. So if you look at your desk or wherever you're working now, you may have some things that you've left out as reminders to do something or to follow up on this or to finish this. And if you have a good task management system, then you can put those things away, trigger a task to be reminded to do that thing at the right time, and you don't need it all out in front of you at once. So claim a place, have it be as clear of clutter as you can, set up some systems so that you don't worry about the out of sight, out of mind, and then try to minimize distraction. That's probably 4 of the top tips I can give for just setting up an office space or a workspace at home.
Well, Debbie, I'd like you to, if you can, expand a little bit on avoiding distractions. I find working from home, my office space is organized adequately, and I think you hit the nail on the head of the things I keep up for my reminders, etc. But outside distractions, any tips on controlling outside distraction? There's none outside of my office space.
Yeah, I'd say that's twofold. We have external distractions, maybe other people, right? That are walking about or coming to ask us for things. Pets could be pets, yep. Could be kids, could be a spouse or a partner. So thinking about communicating and just expressing what you need. Share at the beginning of the day what your day looks like. So for example, knowing that we were going to, come together at 3 and that ideally this is a quiet space so you get a clean recording for your show, I communicated with others in my household that, 3 o'clock or the hour of 3 o'clock is really a good time to do something quiet, right? And of course, that's harder for those with little kids, or, pets that you can't say, don't bark at 3:15, right? But are there some things that you can do to maybe, if it is, if you have a dog, can you put a dog in a different room of the house for a period of time? And I'm not saying ignore the pet all day long or, just pop your kids in front of a screen and let them do their thing all day long. Of course not. But can you set yourself up for periods of focus during the day? And then we have internal distractions as well. So like it or not, we will distract ourselves, or we have these distractions that are within our control. It's the notification on our phones. We can turn that off. It's the email flash. When we get a new email, the icon that pops up, we can turn that off. So there are some things that you can do to be in control of the distraction. And, thinking about at home, the things that might distract us often are home tasks, like, oh, I should go switch the laundry, or I should go start, do some dinner prep now in the middle of the day so that, everything can be ready. And those are okay things to do. It's one of the benefits of working from home is that we can do and mix in some personal tasks as well. But we need to be careful not to let that distraction or that diversion totally derail our workday. So I like to think about and suggest some compartmentalization, that if you decide that your work hours are primarily from here to here, that's what you're going to do during that time. And while you can take breaks and use those, I'll go switch the laundry for breaks, I'll go pop out and get the mail, or, have lunch with my son, whatever it might be, we want to keep those confined as well.
So let's go back to that stuff on my desk thing. Now, because you're an organizational expert, give us some practical tips because I agree. I like to have things in one space, but I also like to kind of get rid of distractions. And one thing that I've done from a work standpoint, well, several things. The first thing I did is I put a sign right behind me here that says, until my number one priority is done, everything else is a distraction. And what I've done now too on my computer is I've closed all the windows. Mm-hmm. We did that before we started, right? I closed all
that was fun. Yeah.
But I was doing that with other tasks. Like if I had to work on something specifically, I would close out all my windows and open just the windows that I needed.
Yep.
What other tips do you have spatially, like for organizing? Because the kids will come and drop stuff on here. Some bills come in, they get thrown on the desk, and I just start building up this pile of stuff here that I've got to go through.
I would say if you're accumulating stuff on the desk that really belongs someplace else or does have a place to be in your office, every time you get up, and you should be getting up, a couple of times an hour to stretch or to move or to take a break. If you were to do that twice an hour, that's 2 times at least throughout your workday every hour where you could put something where it goes or get those dishes back to the kitchen. So that's one approach, is just do a little bit all throughout the day and get things put away and where they belong. Another is, at the minimum, at the end of the day, do what I call a clear to neutral and set yourself up for the next day. So that's taking a look at, all right, what did I get out today? What can I put away? What can I take, into the kitchen or where it belongs, or return to the kids because it just got dropped here. So if you do that at the end of the day and you have a more clean slate to walk into the next morning, the second part of that is identifying what that highest priority is. So Dan, I love that thing that's behind your desk. And until I get that highest priority done, everything else is a distraction. Well, you have to know what your priorities are, right? So if at the end of the one day, you can say, tomorrow, if I were to get this one thing done, and I mean, Keller Williams, the concept of the one thing, right? That's a great book if you haven't read it.
Yep.
But the one thing, if you can identify what is essential, what would be the biggest, needle mover to make progress for a client, for your work, for your job, or for your role, and then that becomes the thing that you do first thing in the morning. But you have a clean place to come into. Things are organized from the beginning, and then you're able to focus.
Debbie, I've had some of my clients tell me that with the home office, they're working more hours. They feel like they're working around the clock. Any advice for avoiding burnout?
Yeah, I kind of back to that compartmentalization. So it's certainly tempting, especially for those of us that are entrepreneurs, that, realtors, even if you have an umbrella that you fly your flag under, you're still entrepreneurial and you're running your own business. And so the work is always there, right? We could work around the clock. And with a home office, it can be so tempting, even if you've spent some time with your family and now you're going to head on up to bed at the end of the night, to say, oh, well, why don't I just go in the office? I'll just get a few more things done.
Check email one more time.
Exactly. And if we don't take breaks from work, we will burn out. So I like the idea of trying to stick to some sort of a schedule. And just like everyone has a different level of tolerance for stuff around them, some people like to have their day more structured than others, but some structure serves all of us.
Yeah.
So again, if you...
I have a personal commitment to not check my email after 8 o'clock at night.
Yeah.
Because sometimes bad news comes in that you can't do anything about till the next day.
That's right.
And then you're laying awake going, man, this really sucks. So I just make it a point after 8 o'clock, it could be the whole world's falling apart, but I won't know until the next morning.
That's right. And most things really can wait until the next day. I know as a professional organizer and a productivity consultant, there are very rarely organizing emergencies, right? So, and if somebody really needs to get a hold of you because of a true emergency, they'll probably find a way. So anyway, compartmentalization. I'm going to go back to that as this is one way to avoid burnout. Take breaks throughout the day. Give yourself your evening, give yourself your weekends, unless you're, showing homes. And then I hope you take some, compensable time off. But we need to have time away from work, because when we can shift gears, focus on other things that are important to us and our health and wellness, we show up as better employees or better service providers, better realtors, whatever, fill in the blank. We show up as that better version of ourselves, more focused when we're back at work.
All right, we've got time for 2 more questions here. And one is, we've been talking about entrepreneurs and solopreneurs and people that are kind of independently working from home. But in this whole time, people are concerned about not only having a job, but keeping their job. So how can an employee provide to their employer their productivity?
Yeah, so it's different. I know a lot of people who work for someone else and work in an office, they're used to showing how hard they work. They might show up and be the first one there and the last one to leave. And, this is a time where we get to prove that statement that I've said again and again, that being busy does not equate to being productive. So just putting in the hours doesn't mean you're getting the work done. This is the perfect time to be clear on what results you deliver and focus on getting those results. So it doesn't matter, and I am a boss, and it doesn't matter to me whether my employees, get a result in an 8-hour day or a 4-hour day. So the results is what I care about, right? It's that
Right.
satisfied client. It's developing new business. It's whatever the key drivers are for the business. So when you're working from home and nobody else can see you working, what they are going to see or hear about are the results that you're getting. So make sure to share those, be proud and share results, but focus yourself on results too. That's another way, Brian, back to your question about avoiding burnout.
Right.
We don't have to work around the clock to get the results. We just need to be clear on what we want and what activities are going to get us there, and then prioritize those activities.
One of the things that we do is a daily check-in, and the first question is, share your win. What do you got? And it's encouraging, but it also is evidence of results.
Yeah, and I think it delineates the day, because I know after that check-in, I can step away, and I can say, okay, my day is done.
Yeah. When is enough enough?
Yeah. Ryan,
So
you got a last question?
Oops, go ahead, Dan.
No, you have a last question. Go ahead.
Yeah, what resources do you have for listeners wanting more on the topic, or maybe needing some help?
Yeah, there's so many people obviously working from home right now. So we put out, just, kind of dug in and created a Rock Your Work From Home guide. So it's a free resource. And if anybody is working from home and just wants to, take a look at that, it talks about some of the things we've talked about today. It has a productivity worksheet on there and kind of a day planner where you can plan out your day. So that can be found on our website, www.itssimplyplaced.com. So ITSSIMPLYPLACED.com. And just go to the middle of the homepage or the bottom, there's a form, just name and address, and we will send you your free guide. We have a special going on right now until May 15th. That is a bundle of our Organize to Optimize mini course and our Productivity Taskmaster bundle. So that might be something to check out if somebody is kind of a do-it-yourselfer and wants some of the Simply Placed strategies that we use with clients, but at a fraction of the cost. And then we're available. So we do consulting, we do virtual organizing appointments. We have a great membership program that, again, affordability, because it's a group program, helps people get and stay organized and make the most of their time throughout the year, and a lot of accountability and community with that as well.
All right. And what's that website again?
So our website is itssimplyplaced.com. So www.itssimplyplaced.com. And maybe we can pop some of these things in a comment too, with some links to the free guide, and to that product, and to the group program.
Perfect. Debbie, thank you so much for coming on the show today. We appreciate it.
Thank you, Debbie.
It's my pleasure.
All right. After this short commercial break, Brian and I are going to be talking some final thoughts. So come back after this very, very short commercial break.